He only noticed her when another man made her laugh. The Mafia boss, who never looked at his secretary, not once in a year, stopped in the middle of the corridor, eyes cold, because she smiled at someone else. And in that second, everyone in that office knew. She had just become his problem. The morning sun hit the glass of Vitale Holdings like gold on steel. Inside, everything gleamed. The polished floors, the black marble reception, the sharp rhythm of heels echoing down the corridor. And yet, amid all that shine, there was a girl who went unnoticed. Emily Walker, 24, sat behind her small desk on the 21st floor. The floor no one lingered on unless they were brave or foolish enough to deal with the man who owned it. She kept her hair tied back neatly, her clothes simple but clean. Her job wasn't glamorous. She handled calls, schedules, coffee orders, and the kind of silence that came when Lorenzo Vitale walked through the hallway. Everyone else looked busy when he appeared. She just looked down. He was impossible not to notice. Tall, impeccably dressed, his Italian accent softened by New York but never erased. People said he smiled once every leap year, and that when he did, it meant someone else's life was about to change. Emily had worked for him for a year. He'd passed her desk hundreds of times. Not once had he really seen her, but she had seen him every day. And she was in love with a man who didn't know her name. That Monday started like any other. Emily arrived early, straightened the stack of folders for the morning meeting, and typed up minutes that no one would read but everyone would need. She'd heard that Mr. Vitale had just come back from a week in Miami. Business, which in his world meant things better left unsaid. At 8:42 a.m., the elevator doors opened with a chime. Two men in dark suits stepped out first, scanning the corridor. Then came him, Lorenzo Vitale. The air changed. People stopped talking. He moved like time itself had to make space for him. Calm, controlled, dangerous in ways that didn't need words. His watch gleamed. His eyes didn't linger. He didn't need to speak to command silence. Emily stood as he approached, her heart racing even though she'd done this 100 times. "Good morning, Mr. Vitale," she said softly. He nodded, eyes still on his phone, walking past her without a glance. It stung, just like it always did, but she smiled anyway, pretending it didn't matter. Minutes later, another voice broke the silence. "Hey, morning, Em." Ethan Parker leaned over her desk, tall, sandy-haired, with a grin that could light up a windowless room. He worked in the company's security division, second floor, but lately he'd found excuses to check systems up here. "You beat me here again," he said. Emily smiled, grateful for the normalcy. "I live 10 minutes away." "You? You probably rolled out of bed 5 minutes ago." "Guilty," he laughed. "But I brought bribes." He held up a coffee. "1 cream, 2 sugars, right?" She blinked, surprised. "You remembered?" "I pay attention," he said, grinning. "Unlike some people around here." Emily laughed, a small, real laugh that made her eyes soften. "Thanks, Ethan." He handed her the cup, teasing, "You know they should pay you double for putting up with that guy's moods." "Who, Mr. Vitale?" she said, lowering her voice. "He's not so bad." Ethan raised a brow. "You're defending him?" "I'm just saying. Maybe he's not what people think." "Maybe," Ethan said, "but he could at least learn to say good morning." And then, because fate is cruel and timing even worse, Lorenzo walked out of his office at that exact second. He didn't stop right away. He didn't speak. He just looked. For the first time in 12 months, Lorenzo Vitale saw her. Really saw her. The sound of her laughter hit him like a strike to the chest. He wasn't used to that sound in this place. Light, warm, alive. It didn't belong in his world. And it sure as hell wasn't meant for another man. From where he stood, just inside his office doorway, he saw Ethan leaning on her desk, her eyes sparkling, her lips curved in a smile that didn't exist for anyone else. Something inside him tightened, sharp and unfamiliar. Marco, his right-hand man, noticed immediately. "Boss?" Lorenzo didn't answer. His gaze stayed locked on her. "Everything okay?" Marco asked carefully. "No," Lorenzo said quietly. "Who's that man?" Marco followed his eyes. "Parker. Security. Good employee. Clean record. Not for long." "Excuse me?" Get him out of my sight. A few minutes later, the sound of heavy steps echoed across the floor. Ethan turned to see Marco walking toward him, calm but deliberate. "Mr. Parker," Marco said evenly. "The boss needs you downstairs." Ethan frowned. "Me? Why?" "Because you're standing where you shouldn't." Ethan hesitated, glancing at Emily. "I'll catch you later, okay?" "Sure," she said softly, watching as Marco escorted him toward the elevator. When the doors closed, the office felt colder. Then she heard another voice. "Miss Walker." Her heart jumped. Lorenzo stood by his door, one hand in his pocket, his gaze sharp and unreadable. "Inside," he said simply. She stepped into his office, feeling like she'd just entered another world, one built on power and silence. He closed the door behind her. "Sit," he said. She obeyed, clutching her notepad even though she didn't need it. He didn't sit. He walked slowly around the desk, stopping behind her chair. "How long have you worked here?" "A year, sir." "And how many times have you been late?" "Never." "Good." He circled around until he was facing her. "Then why?" he said quietly. "Do I see you wasting company time flirting with my staff?" Her eyes widened. "Flirting? I wasn't." "You were smiling." "I'm allowed to smile." "Not like that." She blinked, confused. "Excuse me?" He leaned forward, both hands on the edge of the desk. "When I walk through this floor, I expect focus, discipline, respect. Not..." He stopped himself, jaw tightening. "Not distractions." Emily swallowed hard. "With all due respect, Mr. Vitale, Ethan was just being nice." "That's exactly what I don't want," he said through clenched teeth. Her voice trembled, part anger, part disbelief. "So I can't even talk to people now?" He took a step closer, eyes burning. "You can talk to anyone you want, outside this building. But here, you work for me, you look at me, you answer to me." Her pulse raced. "Why does it matter to you who talks to me?" "Because," he said, lowering his voice until it was almost a growl, "the second you smiled at someone else, I couldn't think straight." The silence that followed was heavy and dangerous. She stared at him, her breath shallow. "What are you saying?" He exhaled slowly, fighting himself. "I've ignored you for months, Miss Walker. I told myself it was better that way, safer, cleaner. But now..." His hand brushed her cheek, gentle but unshakable. "Now it's too late." Her heart stuttered. "Too late for what?" "For me to pretend I don't want you." He kissed her, not polite, not planned, but raw and hungry. The kind of kiss that felt like it had been building for months behind every unspoken word, every glance he refused to give her. Emily froze, then melted into it, her hands finding his shirt, her breath lost. When he pulled back, both of them were shaking. "This can't happen," she whispered. "It already did," he said softly. She stood, trying to catch her breath. "People will talk. Let them. You'll ruin your reputation." He smirked faintly. "I don't have one worth saving." He reached for her again, his fingers tracing the line of her jaw. "You have no idea what you've done to me, Emily." "Then tell me." He leaned closer, his breath hot against her ear. "You made me notice you." Her eyes met his, wide, vulnerable, defiant. "I've wanted that for so long." He stilled, surprised by the confession. "You have?"